We'll just wait for a few minutes before others join in. I hope you can hear me now. It's quite windy here. Yes, you can hear me now. So let's quickly go into the subject matter without wasting much time. Okay. So today what we're going to do is that we've looked at some online tools that teachers can use. And then what we did was we had a demonstration of Google Classroom that you can use in your online teaching. But something that many teachers wanted was how to use actually assessment tools. Okay, so a lot of teachers are interested in knowing how to perform assessment, online assessment as teachers. Okay, so let me just quickly walk you through some of the assessment tools that we can use in our classroom teaching. And I will also show you some demonstrations and run some queries as well. Okay, so let's do that. I'll share my screen shortly. Okay, right. So now we have some good. So all of you have transitioned from that window to here. That's very good. So let me share my screen and move ahead with today's presentation. So in case this presentation stops for some reason, just watch out the channel for another live video, and then we can continue from there. Okay. So today we're going to look at assessment and analytics for teachers. And it's a very important topic because we always are very keen in knowing how our students are performing. But however, when we do online teaching, the environment is different. The tools that we can use are going to be quite different. The rubrics that we are going to use are quite different. So let's look at some of these aspects. Okay. So before we even move to online teaching or online assessments, let's look at some an important factor in online assessments or any kind of assessment for that matter. Okay. So here if you look at the screen, I've highlighted some important issues here. Any kind of assessment, any kind of test has its own positives and negatives. So for a very young student, it causes certain tension, certain somatic symptoms, and anxiety before or after taking a test. So these are some things it's always helpful to be mindful of. And these stresses and tensions indirectly or directly impact their behavior, their physical health, as well as their cognition. So what happens, when students, the moment you announce a test, so there's so much stress and anxiety that is happening there, isn't it? So there are some students who take it very cool, but there are a lot of students who go through some kind of anxiety or stress before the test. So we need to keep these in mind before designing the tests. And what happens is, in the school environment, you are always there, are going around them to see if everybody is able to do the test well, is the environment proper, and everything is set in the school. However, when students take tests online or at their home or whatever it is, there are so many things that are going around them. So there, it could be distractions, it could be tension from parents, or there could be some noises in their environment. So there are different things that are going on in the environment which we need to be mindful of. And it impacts behavior, physical health, and cognition. So behavior, it could be in terms of some students start sweating, some students become very introverted, if there are frequent examinations or tests. Some students, what happens is they also undergo a lot of behavioral changes because they lose their confidence. If some students are performing constantly very badly, then they can lose their confidence. So that is why even personalized test becomes important. Suppose you feel that some students' morale is too low, can you design some specific or simple tests for them so that their morale is boosted, and then you can put them on par with the other students. So these are some things that teachers can be mindful of whenever they design these online tests. And as I said, physical health, I've seen that some of the students that I know, if they're afraid or if they're scared of examinations, they tend to bunk school, right? So there are a lot of students who do that. That's because they're not able to handle a certain examination pressure. So these are some things that we need to be mindful of before we go into the online assessments, right? So, and then cognition, what happens is this prefrontal cortex of the brain, that is what is involved in thinking. So whenever you give a problem, whenever you give something to the students, they start thinking about the problem. So what happens is, this region, there is a lot of activity going on in the brain in this region. And if there is too much pressure or too much load or too much anxiety over there, then what happens? Their thinking ability actually drastically reduces. So it means that not all students handle tests the same way. And hence personalized tests or graded examinations become very important. Okay, so this is I just wanted to set this context before we move into the actual topic. So there are a lot of theories on assessments. If you look at this, one group of theory says the person is expected to perform a specific skill. The pressure may cause an increased self-consciousness and inward focus, which disrupt their ability to perform that task. So at that moment, you would have seen that many students tend to forget it because there is some kind of a pressure that is going on inside, which make them very focused inside, and then they stop thinking about that problem. So that could happen to some of the students. Some other theories are there that high pressure causes dual task situation. So what happens? The pressure, the student is distracted between the task at hand and unhelpful thoughts. So only when there is an examination, some students suddenly look at the environment and think, the clouds are beautiful, the mountain is beautiful, and all. Oh, I've missed all this in my life and all that. That's because that is a small break from the examination stress that they are going through. They need the distraction to be able to come back and then focus on the task at hand. There are a lot of theories like this. So whenever we design tests, especially since as a teacher, you're not available there in that environment during this COVID situation, you are giving some tests online for the students. Maybe they have to write and scan it and send it to you, or whatever method you are adopting currently. There is some kind of a stress going on there. So this is just to set a context, and so that as teachers, we become mindful of the students' approach to tests. And also there's a lot of family pressure that is happening, and they're adapting to this new situation, right? So let's go into the topic, and yes, yeah, let's go into the topic and then see further on this. So of course, a lot of you might be exposed to the Bloom's taxonomy. So the Bloom's taxonomy is a very powerful framework to understand how people learn, or how learning components can be structured, assessment components can be structured. All this is the Bloom's taxonomy is quite insightful. You can look up Bloom's taxonomy in Wikipedia or any other information page. So if you look at it, if you see this Bloom's taxonomy, how can this be applied to assessment? So whenever a teacher designs a question paper, the teacher can actually have multiple kinds of questions in the question paper. That is one thing. Second thing is, each question can be of a different level of complexity. And the third thing is each can be at a different level at the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, these are some things that you can do. One first thing, what did I say? You can have questions of different types: multiple choice, essay questions, short answer, long answer, whatever it is. Second thing, questions of different complexity. If you're giving a 2-mark question, the first 5 can be easy, or the first 3 can be easy, the next 3 can be medium, the last 3 can be very difficult questions. So this, what happens is students of different capabilities find it engaging. Otherwise, what happens is we have only one set of questions where we treat all the students same, and we do not uh, what you can say, we do not cater to the thinking of some students who are high performers. So there can be a few questions of different difficulty levels. At the same time, you can also set questions which are at different levels of the Bloom's taxonomy. Example, you can have a question which is just based on memory. The lowest level is remembering. So it means that the students just have to remember a fact. When did this particular war happen? 1857, whatever it is. Okay, it can be just based on facts. What is the formula or chemical formula of something? It's just memory based. So there can be good amount of questions which are just memory based. The second level in the Bloom's taxonomy is understanding, right? You can have some questions which are understanding based, where students can interpret something, summarize something, infer, paraphrase, or discuss something. So this is one way of doing it. And the third type is applying. So what happens is once the students have memory of it, they have developed understanding of it, they can apply it in some context. So they might have by hearted or learned a formula by rote, but then you can give them a slightly difficult problem where they have to apply these concepts and answer the question. So it means that a large number of students might be in the remembering category. It depends on your school, the methodology, pedagogy that you use. Your students could, large number of students could be in the memory category, or large number of students could be in the understanding category, or they could be in the applying category. Like for example, a lot of students prepare for their JEE exams. There, what happens, whatever they have learned till now, right from childhood, they'll have to really put it into formulae and then start applying it in difficult problems. So it means that it will cater to the third level in the Bloom's taxonomy or even higher than that. And as you proceed, you have 3 other things: creating, evaluating, and analyzing. So it means that creating is that out of all this knowledge, they create something new. So, for example, they could create their own games, or they can create their own small programs, or they can create their own robots, or they could create, a small project out of whatever they have learned. So they could design, build, construct, invent something. So that is at one Bloom's taxonomy level. So can you put these together to create something? Okay. So that is at one level. Then evaluating, like they should be able to critically judge something, criticize something. That could be in the form of debates, where they take a particular situation. Is 40-day lockdown valid or not? This could be an argument that is happening in the class. So each person actually brings forth all the knowledge with respect to viruses, how diseases spread, and how in the past pandemics have been handled, and then they start arguing whether the 40 days or 50 days or whatever it is okay or not. So it means that they are evaluating various parameters and then making a judgment. And then there is also something where you take a lot of data and analyze the data. So you can give students some kind of a data to analyze. They can do simple statistical calculations. They can organize the data in a better manner, and they can compare two data points. For example, they can compare the, something, the agricultural produce of China and India, or Brazil and India. So these are all comparisons where they are exposed to statistics or whatever concepts. They're exposed to certain formulae, and then they start analyzing this data, and then they make their evaluations. So this is Bloom's taxonomy and how it can be used for assessment. So now I'll straight away go into how this Bloom's taxonomy can be used to design question papers, right? So I hope you're all with me on this. If you can give me a quick feedback that you are on this, you're with me on this. Yes. So what we'll do is I'll look at some ways of designing questions, right? Question paper. Okay. So how can you use this in assessments? The Bloom's taxonomy. So remembering, can the student recall or remember the information? So for example, you can have it as objective type questions. Understanding, can the student explain ideas and concepts, that is interpret, summarize? So it could be exams, problem sets, class discussions, concept maps are very wonderful tools to make students understand. In fact, in online teaching, there are a lot of websites that help students to generate concept maps. So you can give that as assignment. If you're using Google Classroom, you can give that as an assignment and students can create their concept maps. For example, if they're using Google Drive to create through us to assignments, then they can use something called draw.io, which helps you to generate a lot of diagrams. So they can use that to generate concept maps, draw.io. And in understanding, you can ask them to summarize something, you can ask them to compare something, paraphrase documents, annotate documents. All this is possible in the understanding level. And applying, can the student use the information in some way? Yes, they can use and apply and execute and implement. So this can be used to solve complete or familiar or unfamiliar tasks, as I told you already, right? Analyzing, can the student distinguish between different parts? So activities such as case studies, labs, papers, projects, debates, all that can be used. So they can discriminate or select relevant and irrelevant parts, determine how elements function together, determine the bias or underlying intent in the presented material. Especially if you're a social science teacher, then they can analyze the different contexts and different social situations and see if how things could have been done better or what is wrong with the way things are happening. So all that can be analyzed. Creating, it means that new things have to be created. You can make, build, design, or generate new things. For example, the students can be encouraged to write their own small programs. They can create small lab experiments. As I told you in the other session, there is something called GeoGebra. Students can generate their own small animations using that, or they have scratch.mit.edu, where they can create their own programs using Scratch programming language. So all this means that some kind of creativity is happening through that, and you can evaluate their creative potential through this thing. So this is not something new, as we already know. But however, it's important to bring these to perspective, and especially when you're using online tools, you will need to understand this. Okay. So here is a table that talks about how you can apply this framework in assessment. So for example, multiple choice question, you can use it for remembering at the Bloom's taxonomy level, remember, understand, and apply. True or false question can be reused for remembering and understanding. Matching can be used for remembering and understanding. Short answers can be used for remembering, understanding, and applying. Essays can be used, oral, anecdote. So all this you can do it online itself. If you have Google Classroom, or if you have any other online teaching tool like Microsoft Teams that you're using, or a Moodle platform, all these can be done. How can you can have a Google Meet, or you can have a Zoom meeting, or whatever it is, and then have an oral examination. Because it's important for you to see the students and then interact with them. So especially in online teaching, these oral examinations are becoming very important, because with writing, you do not know if they're taking help from others, whereas in oral, you're interacting with them live, and you know that you are they're not looking anywhere, but they're just speaking to you. So these are some things that you can actually these are some kinds of questions that you can design to satisfy the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So I hope this is clear now. So what we'll do is that I'll demonstrate how you can create questions in Google and how to evaluate them, right? And it will be helpful in case you're sitting in front of the computer and then you could probably try some of these. Even if you're not having a computer, don't worry about it. You will be able to explore this on your own. So let me just go to my share another screen where we can try out some exam. I'll show you how to create Google quizzes and do all kinds of assessment and analytics for your tests that you conduct, right? Let me just share my screen again. So here is, I've created a sample in my previous video. I had created a sample Google Classroom course. So this is classroom.google.com. You need to have an institutional ID to be able to create courses in it. But now let's assume that you have a Google Classroom. Even if you don't have Google Classroom, you can still have assessments on Google Forms. Okay, you just have to go to forms.google.com and then start typing out the questions and then make it a quiz. Okay, so I'm straight away demonstrating it through Google Classroom. So here what I've done is that I'm going to classwork and then I'm creating a new quiz. So I'm clicking on create and then I'm creating a new quiz. Okay, so in the quiz I'm giving a title, sample quiz. And then I'm creating a blank quiz here. You can rename the quiz a little while later. Here I'm creating, okay, this is all done. So here, how many points? I'm here, there is the provision to give you points. And you can even give a topic for that depending on whatever topic is there. So here I'm just giving it as astrophysics. And then I'm creating this particular quiz. Okay. And now I double click on this Google form. And now a blank quiz is created. So whenever you create a blank quiz, you can create several sections in the quiz, okay, which will come through different pages whenever the student takes a quiz. So I'm just renaming this quiz to be something, India quiz, something like that, right? Here also I'm renaming India quiz. So first, it will be helpful if you add the name and name of the student. It's a short question. Then what you do is you name and then whatever roll number, okay, roll number of the student. So these can be the first questions. I'm removing the validation here. And now what I'm doing is I'm adding the quiz questions, okay. So please observe carefully. So please observe carefully here. What I'm doing right now is I'm creating more questions here, which is the capital of India. It's just a question. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually having a multiple choice here. So here, suggested correct answer is New Delhi. I'm giving some few answers here. Okay. So I have 4 choices here. So now what you need to do is once you have entered the 4 choices, you go to answer key. Click on answer key. Okay. So here what happens is you have created a multiple choice question with 4 answers. And here you need to click on the correct answer. New Delhi is the correct answer. So you need to click on that. Only then the form will be able to evaluate the correct answer. Otherwise, it won't know which one is the correct answer. So I've clicked as New Delhi. And here, don't forget to enter the points. So it is 1, the marks is 1. So for this question, you have to enter 1 mark. Okay, and this is done. What you can do is add answer feedback. So if the answers are wrong, you just have some kind of a comment. check in your notes, something, whatever you feel like correct answer, you're giving a feedback. So here now you have this particular question is ready. A multiple choice question is ready. Okay. So which is the capital of India? And then you will have entered the right answer. Now I'm going to go to another question. Which are the metros in India? Okay. So here the type of question is checkbox because there are multiple metros in the country. So you have New Delhi, Chennai, Mumbai, and let's have it as Pune. So here there are not all, everything is a metro. So what you need to do is click on answer key, enter the score. This is 1 point or 2 points. This question carries 2 points. And the correct answers are New Delhi, Chennai, and Mumbai. Pune is not a metro, so you're not checking that. So this is done. So now you have this particular quiz with 2 questions. The first question is of 1 mark. The second question is of 2 marks. And even you can add a paragraph question, whatever it is, okay? Like a short answer. Like what you like about India, okay? And this is fine, okay? They will just write a short paragraph about this. So I think so far it's clear, right? I think I think once you try it out at home, you'll be more comfortable with this. So once you have set this quiz, you need to click on the responses. So once you click on responses, here you can create a spreadsheet, which is called India Quizzes Response. And I'm clicking on create. So it means that all the answers will go to this particular Excel sheet or spreadsheet. So here in the spreadsheet, you will be able to see all the answers. Once the student types in, and then what you need to do, this quiz will now be there in the Google Classroom. Suppose you're not using Google Classroom, don't worry about it. Click on send and then click on the link and share this link with your students on WhatsApp or whatever it is. Or you can even send it to them via email. Okay. You can even embed it in a web page, but let's not go into that. Okay. So that is something that we have completed. Okay. So what you can do is that, and here if you go to the questions, you can even shuffle. If you click on this question, here you can even shuffle the answers. Okay. Right now, yeah. Okay. So once this is done, yes, suppose this question is there, you can click on this and then you can shuffle the option order. So what happens when you shuffle the option order? Whenever the student takes it again, the order will be shuffled. For each person, it could be in any shuffled order. So far we've covered how to create a quiz, how to save the responses in a particular Google spreadsheet. So all the answers will come in this particular spreadsheet. And if you see this particular column, the score column will automatically score the quiz. You will get the score for a particular student in this particular column. By evaluating, you have entered the right answer and all that, right? So automatically the scores will come here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to, for the paragraph type questions, you can actually, there is no way you can set the marks, but there is no way you can evaluate it directly, right? So you will have to go through the Excel sheet or the spreadsheet and then look at each answer and then evaluate it accordingly. Okay, so that is something that you'll have to do. You can enter the score in the spreadsheet once you have evaluated. Okay. So now let's do is I have already created a sample quiz. Okay, so let me just share the presentation. So with respect to assessments, what we have done right now is we have created different types of questions. We have assigned new marks to each question. We have given the feedback or correct answer to the questions. And then we have selected destination where to record the responses. And then we have adding a title and description, add sections, and then you can even add sections. And this thing extensions, we'll look at it a little later. Okay. So I'll move on to the next say, part of this presentation. So what? Let's move on to the next section of the presentation. Yes. So here I already have a quiz. Okay. So in this quiz, what we're going to do is that what does Google Spreadsheet already show you? This is what we're going to see. So here, when you click on the right link on the responses and just scroll down, you already have some kind of information available in the Google. So if you click on summary here, so once you click on responses, you have something called summary. Here you get a summary of the performance. Okay. Like for example, number of people who have responded to the questions and what is the points that are being scored. For example, in this particular in this particular quiz, 2 people have scored 3 points. 4 people have scored 10 points, right? And 2 people have scored 20 points. So you have this particular statistics given here. Okay. So here you also see frequently missed questions, right? So here you see questions with less than 50% correct response rate. So this is a frequently missed, what are the frequently missed questions in this particular quiz? So here's the question, and this is being frequently missed by the students. Okay, this is something that Google Sheets directly gives you. For example, let's look at, for example, one of the questions, if you see, 6 people answered it correctly. One person gave this particular answer and 2 people have given this particular answer. Wonderful, isn't it? Without you doing anything, the Google Sheet is already giving you this data. How many people have said true? How many people have said false? How many people have chosen this particular answer? How many people have chosen these other answers? So this was a multiple choice, a multiple answer question. So that's how you can see the difference here. Okay. So this is something that Google Form directly gives you. A Google Sheet directly gives you question-wise analysis. So even you can go to this question tab, and if you click at it, per question, you will get how many responses are there per question. 6 responses for this particular answer, option A. 2 responses for option B. 1 response for option C, whatever it is, okay? Like that, you can have a question-wise analysis, which is already given. You don't have to do anything specific in this. Okay. So this is something that we can do. Now to the interesting or the important part of this whole presentation. What you do is once you have looked at this particular thing, you click on the Google Sheets. Okay. Google Sheets. So here what I have on the screen is not just the quiz answers, but this is like a Google Sheet with several marks. Suppose you are a class teacher for class section A and section B, or you are the course coordinator for 9th standard section A and section B, and you have a set of marks with you. So what kind of analytics can you perform? That is what we're going to look at right now. Okay. So if you look at this particular sheet, I have roll numbers, I have the different sections, and then I have different marks for, say, physics and chemistry, formative assessment 1, formative assessment 2, and then the total performance out of 40. So this is some data that I have right now with me. Okay. So what let me do right now is, now that we have this data, how do we do some analytics? So what is meant by analytics? You already calculate the total, the average and other things, right? So here we are going to do a little more than that. So once you open the Google Sheet, if you look at the right side bottom corner, you have something called Explore. Okay, so you can click on Explore. You can click on Explore. So whenever we have some kind of student data with us, the descriptive statistics become very important at the beginning. Okay, so descriptive statistics. Let me just, so beautifully how it is designed, this Google Explore, is that you can type queries in a natural language, that is in the language that we speak. Okay, so here if you look at this, what is the average, or average of formative assessment 1, okay, physics marks. Okay, this is the name of the column, physics FA1 out of 20. That is the name of the column. What is the average? The average is 9 marks. So this particular column, the average is 9 marks. So what is the performance in FA1? What is the average performance in FA1? FA1, this is my column name, average of this. So the particular average is 21. The total is out of 20. So the class average is 20, not 24. I think it's quite a little bit higher. So it is 21. The average is 21. So this is to do with the average. Okay. Now, whenever we do average, we also need to know standard deviation. Let me try if standard deviation works. Standard deviation of the physics marks. It is 5.9. So what is standard deviation? How much the marks actually deviate from the mean. If it deviates too much from the mean, it means that there are a lot of, the curve is not a bell curve. There are a lot of students here and there. If it is around if it's too much around the mean, it means that a lot of students are in the average category. That is what it means, isn't it? So if the standard deviation is high, it means the data is scattered throughout the spectrum. If the standard deviation is low, it means that all the data is concentrated around the average. So that is what it means. So now we have calculated the average and standard deviation. We can write some more queries. Let us write a few more queries. We want to find who are the top students in physics. Okay, FA1. So top 5 names. Top 5 name is a column name, and physics FA1 is the subject FA1 marks. So once I enter, I actually get the top 5 students, roll numbers or names or whatever. Here, the roll number and name is the same in my column, in my spreadsheet. So you have the top 5 students in FA1 in physics. Top 5 name for physics. Okay. Google itself will prompt you for some of these queries. So don't worry if you don't get it at the first shot. You can keep watching this video again, stop it, and then try out the queries. Now I want to find who are the bottom 5 students in my class. Okay. Right. Sorry here. Clicking on explore to find the bottom 5 students in class and especially in section A. So I've written bottom 5 name for the subject physics when section is A. Bottom 5 names for physics for this particular subject and section is equal to A. So here are the bottom 5 students of A section who have scored the bottom 5 marks in physics, formative assessment 1. Beautiful, isn't it? The simple English you have used to write the queries, but very interesting perspective for the teacher. All this you can just do once you get your online assessment. Once you have a Google form, create a quiz, create it according to Bloom's taxonomy. How do you create it according to Bloom's taxonomy? For example, all the first questions, or you can have 5 questions like 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5. All number ones can actually be belonging to remembering. All number twos can belong to the next understanding. All number threes can belong to applying. Like that, you can create a host of questions, or you can have 3 categories of questions. Question number 1 can be easy, medium, difficult. Easy, medium, difficult. Like that, you can keep varying it. And once you get this particular spreadsheet out of the quiz, you can analyze who's done well on question number 1, 4, and whatever it is, and question number 2 and 5. Something like that, all the easy questions who has done, all the difficult questions who's been able to do, all that you can do, get a quick analytics on that, right? So let's go to another this thing. So now I want to this particular thing. How many of them have passed in FA1? So the total marks for FA1 is 40. So suppose if I want to see greater than 50%, which is 20, okay? Count FA1 performance greater than 20. So it means that 23 people have passed the FA1. How many people have failed the FA1? 17 people have failed FA1. That is how you need to write the query. Count this particular subject less than 20 marks. That is what you need to write. Okay. Now, I want to rank the roll numbers by physics marks. Okay. Let me do that. Rank roll number by physics FA1 performance. You can write chemistry or you can write total or whatever it is. Don't worry about that. So here I've ranked all these students. The top 5 students are here. It's giving me the top 5. Otherwise, you can just rank it. Okay. Top 5 ranks have come out of this particular query. Rank roll number by physics FA1 20. Now what you can do is, now I'm interested in understanding FA1 performance and FA2 performance between A section and B section. I need to compare. I am the administrator for A section and B section. So I want to see how the students have performed in FA1 in A section and B section. So I'm going to compare this. So I write a small query here. Okay. Compare this particular column, FA performance 40. This all column names and FA2 performance 40 by section. So what does it tell me? Let's see. It's giving me a huge graph, scatter plot of various performances. So this tells me all the FA2 performances. And this tells me all the FA1 performances. I can even have a column chart, or I can have a line chart. Okay. This is what this particular query is doing. Okay. And then let's total up all the physics marks. Simple performance, right? Total physics FA1 per section. So for section A, it is 179 physics total marks. For section B, it is 204. The same thing, I can average it. Average of physics for section. So it means section A average is 8.95. Section B average is 10.2. Okay. So this is what these queries are telling me. Okay. So I want to see if there is a correlation between FA1 performance and FA2 performance. So I'm writing here a query. Don't worry if you didn't get it at the first go. You just try, create your own Excel sheet. Try, you have your sum of your marks, right? You just try to enter it in the spreadsheet and try to click that explore button. You'll get a lot of suggestions on what to do. Correlation FA1 performance and FA2 performance. So once just type correlation and then the two column names and click enter. Here you will see that the values are all scattered here and there. It means there is no correlation between these two values. Not much correlation, because here in this particular thing, I've just entered random marks. But actually when you enter real marks, you might get a correlation. Some of the top performers who are performing well in FA1 might actually perform well in FA2 as well. So it could be different for you. Okay, so this is done. And if you just scroll, explore, there is a lot of interesting graphs that already come. So 10 has the highest value for who has the highest value, or how many people have scored these values. Term 1 performance, FA1 plus FA2 is equal to 80 marks. So what is this particular thing? Chemistry, physics. So you get a beautiful graph out of this. This is some kind of physics of FA2 performance versus chemistry performance. Then you have a line chart. You can create more such graphs. Chart of distribution of sections, something I just created. Section A and section B. 20 and 20 people are there. Okay, you can create that for other columns as well. Yeah. Okay. Oh, sorry, the screen was not shared till now. I think you missed quite some content there. Okay. Anyway, I'll just quickly repeat this. So what you need to do here is, I think now you can see my screen. I have a set of marks over here. And, as I told you, I'm the educational administrator where I have section A and section B marks over here. And then I have the different columns. Okay. Different columns. So here on the right side bottom, you can click on this explore. When you click on this explore, you can already see some suggestions. You can see some beautiful graphs already coming up on your screen. Okay. But here what you need to do is you need some interesting information. So you need to type out the queries. Okay. So let's type out the queries. I suppose I need to have the average performance in FA test for section A and section B. Average of FA performance. This is the column name. I click on this. I click enter. You have averages actually 20 for section A and 22 for section B. This is the FA test performance. This is the average. This is a simple query that you need to write. You can see it on the screen, I think. This is the query that you need to type out. As I told you, don't worry if you don't get it in the first go. You keep typing natural language queries and then you automatically will get some suggestions based on it. Let's type out another query. Suppose you want to compare FA1, not compare, let's rank, let's find out the top 5 physics students. In FA test 1, I want to find who are the top 5 students. Top 5 names for physics FA1. When I click enter, I actually get the top 5 students in physics in FA1. Okay. let's try out another query. What are the bottom 5 students? Don't worry about this. Want the bottom 5 students. Bottom 5 names for physics FA1 when section is A. So in A section, I want the least performing students in physics FA1. So I've already got the list over here. Okay. Then third, let's count the past students. Okay, as I already told you, I hadn't shared the screen at that time, but here it is for you. Count the FA1 performance greater than 20 because the total marks in FA1 is 40 in this particular sheet here. So I'm going to count how many of them have passed. So when I click enter, I actually get 23 people have passed. Okay. 23 people have passed. So how many people have failed? I need to just put less than 20 and click enter. Now I get 17 have failed the test. So this is something that you can do it in a very simple manner. So you want to find the least marks, least chemistry marks. So the least mark in chemistry is 2 marks. Okay. If you want to find the highest mark in chemistry, this is the 20 marks is the highest mark in chemistry. Okay. And let me try to rank the roll numbers. Rank roll number by physics FA1. Okay. So I get the top 5 ranking students in FA1 chemistry. Okay. Something, don't worry about it. So you can. These are some queries that you can run at the side. You can check whether there is a correlation. As I told you, there is no correlation here in this particular sheet. But in your actual sheet, you might find correlations because there are some top performers who consistently perform, right? So if you look at this graph, there is no correlation over here. So let's not worry about it. Okay. So it means that you can actually know a lot about your student performance just by writing some simple queries here. Okay. Doesn't it sound simple? There's a lot of help available online. You can look at that and then create these simple queries for you to work with student data. Okay. So with this, we come to the end of this particular session. Thank you for your patience. We had some technical glitches at the start, but I'm sure you had some perspective on what all we can do. Let me just wrap up this presentation. So we have created assessments where we have created a Google form and then created some assessment components there. And you were able to do a lot of data analytics there. You were able to do some visualizations, graphs. You were able to do histograms. You just saw. Then you saw the top performance, bottom performers, performance above or below a certain marks like pass percentage, question-wise performance. You saw in the quiz, right? You saw the question-wise performance. And add a drop down for class section. You can do it by filters, and you can even choose the filter options. I'll just quickly show you the filter options. So if you look at here, you need to go to data and filters. Okay. data and click on filters. Here you will be able to see filters. So here, suppose I want to order it by section, I sort it A to Z. So it means all section A's will come together, section B's will come together. Or if I want to filter it by color, I can even filter it by some kind of a condition. Okay. Say text contains A, something like that. Okay. So I can even filter it. Suppose you want to color all the people who have failed, you can just write a filter query and you can highlight the data. So all these are powerful tools that you can use in the classroom, and I mean you can use it to analyze student performance. So if you have any questions, please do post it on the YouTube chat. Yes, you can create assessment sheets on Android. You need to go to, however, you can only use the browser. Google, if you're meaning Google Forms, you can do that. But it would be preferable if you can be, yes, in the mobile, they can answer the quiz in the mobile. And if you do go form.google.com, you can do all this in your mobile itself. And if you're comfortable with the mobile, you can go it through the browser. Okay. You can go to it through the browser and then do the analysis there. That would be better than doing it in the app. Okay. So with this session, I sort of recommend and strongly request all of you to try some of these online assessment tools, and give write to me if you need some kind of a help or feedback on this. And this is very nice talking to all of you. It's always a pleasure to talk to teachers, and it's very happy to see your enthusiasm. And so many teachers from across the country had registered for this particular session. I hope to do more such sessions for teachers, because teaching is something that is close to my heart, and I know the struggles that a teacher goes through in handling tools, handling sessions, handling new data, and also looking at student performance, and also counseling the students. That is very important. One thing is objectively designing these assessments, but also helping hand holding the students to go through these assessments step by step. So you can start with simple assessment and then increase the complexity of the assessment. And because you're not physically connected to the students at this point in time, make sure that you talk to the weaker students, and see to it that they're not facing any difficulties at home. You might be knowing your students better, so approach them with kindness and compassion. Like just as we are going through a churning, they are also going through a churning. They're disconnected from the social setting of a classroom. Now they're of course some of them are enjoying at home, but I'm sure students, all students love learning, and all students love to come back to the classroom. So this is one way for them to actually be connected to their friends, to be connected to teachers and to the educational process. So try some of these online tools, and engage with your students. So thank you for connecting to this session. Keep following for more sessions. I'll be happy to do more. Thank you, teachers. Very, very happy to see your comments.